unable to find a solution and turned to the StarNet for help. Soon, both mecha enthusiasts and novices on the StarNet were drawn to this event. Everyone was not only puzzled as to why the original mecha, which had operated stably for over 300 years, had malfunctioned, but also curious about what the terms primordial authority and queen refer to in the context of the original Zero Series mecha. Although they could not immediately ascertain the cause of the malfunction, it did not hinder their quest for information on the Zero Series mecha. Knowledgeable bloggers on StarNet and experts from various academic institutions began to share their insights. Netizens eagerly chimed in with their comments on StarNet. Anyone who has studied mechas knows that the original Zero Series is the first mecha of the Alliance, developed under Shun Xiaoyun's leadership. There's only ever been one person in the history of the Alliance who can be called a queen. Shun Xiaoyun? My goddess, she is my goddess. Even if history has seen countless mecha masters, and even if there are many higher-level mechas for sale on the market, and even if everyone claims the original Zero Series mecha is functionally simple, the original Zero Series mecha will forever hold a unique place in my heart. Shun Xiaoyun charted a course for the development of Alliance mechas. The hand-operated mechas created by later masters followed the path she laid out. So, when the original Zero Series mecha says, "Welcome back, my queen," is it expressing longing for her? Oh, so touching. Even the original Zero Series mecha is commemorating Shun Xiaoyun in its own way. One person shaped history. Had Shun Xiaoyun not met her fate at 35, mecha innovation would surely have surpassed what it is today. Ultimately, it still falls to the later mecha manufacturers who lack skill. The mechas they produce lack originality, yet they charge exorbitant customization fees. Draw a line, add more angles, charge an extra 8,888 I spit. In an instant, the original Zero Series mecha became the focal point of discussion on the Alliance StarNet, and the frequency of searches for Shun Xiaoyun's name surged. Chapter 3. The renowned skill of Wu Xingfeng at the D-18 training ground. The onlookers were astonished as they beheld the dilapidated Zero mecha maintaining a half-squat pose, its hand outstretched. The echoes of the sound emitted by the original Zero mecha reverberated in their minds. A senior student suddenly slapped his arm, exclaiming, "Wait a moment. The original Zero mecha has never spoken such deceptive words to me." His classmate shot him a disdainful glance, retorting, "What are you focusing on? Shouldn't you be pondering why the original Zero mecha made that sound? Don't you think Shun Xiaoyun looks quite impressive standing in front of it? I refuse to believe you're not envious. If it were you, you'd be snapping countless photos." After saying this, the senior playfully nudged his companion. However, a disgruntled freshman interjected. "Is Shun Xiaoyun up to her tricks again? She fainted during the assessment training this morning, and now we all have to accompany her. Is she planning to damage the original Zero mecha to evade the assessment?" Other freshmen nodded in agreement, convinced that Shun Xiaoyun was behind the mischief. She doesn't want to be expelled. If she struggles with physical fitness and can't afford a mecha, she shouldn't have chosen the mecha combat major in the first place. Standing at the forefront of the training ground, Li Yuntao snapped back to reality, feeling irked by his momentary distraction. Although he was unaware of the cause behind the original Zero mecha's anomaly, the assessment remained a priority. His gaze turned frigid, and his tone grew stern. "Shun Xiaoyun, if you aim to use a mecha malfunction as an excuse to evade today's assessment, it would be best for you to withdraw from the academy promptly and not waste anyone's time. You have already squandered a scholarship meant for a disadvantaged student. Do not further waste the academy's educational resources." Shun Xiaoyun remained silent. She stepped forward, adeptly placing her foot on the outstretched hand of the original Zero mecha and executed a roll into the cockpit. As she settled into the cockpit, she couldn't help but grimace. Damn it, is this body really that unfit? Even such a routine action of entering the cockpit almost caused her to twist her waist. The students outside were taken aback. While her posture was undeniably stylish, her method did not adhere to the mecha operation guidelines. Could it be that she was so frightened by the instructor that she forgot how to enter the cockpit? Why didn't she wait for the ladder to descend before climbing aboard? However, when they turned to glance at the panel of judges, they observed that the examiners did not halt the assessment, prompting a hush among the spectators. Inside the mecha cockpit, Shun Xiaoyun found herself enveloped by the sunken pilot's seat. Propping her chin with one hand, her eyes roamed around, surveying her surroundings. Though the cockpit was equally worn and decayed, the structural layout remained unchanged from before. The most prominent feature was the main screen directly ahead, beneath which lay a control console measuring 1 meter in length and width. The left-hand control stick was polished smooth from wear. Shun Xiaoyun raised her hand and pressed a heavily worn button beside the console. In the next moment, the various buttons on the console gradually illuminated, flickering with different colored indicators. Subsequently, the semi-transparent main screen also sparked to life, beginning to display the visuals of the external training ground. The side screen scrolled with dense mecha parameters. Engine output at 20%, unstable. The hydraulic pressure of the joint is insufficient and requires inspection and maintenance. The leg's weight-bearing capacity is inadequate and also awaits examination and repair. The structure of the thorax is damaged and necessitates evaluation and rectification. Shun Xiaoyun nodded slightly. Despite the multitude of alarms, as long as the machine could be activated, it would undoubtedly fulfill the assessment requirements. After all, having lagged behind the times by 3 centuries and without prior training, she might not be able to adapt to the iron behemoth outside. Thus, piloting her old companion seemed far more reliable. At that moment, a mechanical voice resonated. "System activation complete." Shun Xiaoyun's body immediately straightened, her legs positioned on the auxiliary footrests. She recalled the criteria for the assessment. The activation of the mech had been accomplished. The next step was to execute the most fundamental tactical maneuvers and weapon handling actions, ensuring the mech remained operational for 30 seconds. For newcomers, the first challenge was to memorize the myriad button combinations on the control panel, then through training, achieve a harmonious coordination between body and mind, relying solely on instinct to execute the mech's various actions. The most arduous aspect lay precisely in that latter step. The mech was not an extension of the human body. Manipulating the control levers felt akin to maneuvering a colossal mass of steel weighing tons, which would surge forward due to inertia. Therefore, a mech pilot must anticipate and perform counteractions to neutralize that force. This required not only intense mental focus, but also a robust physique. It was hardly surprising that the original pilot failed the assessment. Shen Zhaoyan regained her composure, placing her hands on the control panel and commencing the operation of the mech. Though the buttons of the first-generation Zero Series mech were indistinct, she instinctively guided her fingers across them. Within mere seconds, the mech executed a stepping motion. Shen Zhaoyan's fingers twitched and trembled. Such simple actions were overwhelming. This body was undeniably frail. She still needed to master weapon handling. Nevertheless, Shen Zhaoyan was a proud individual, and she had not forgotten the mockery from the assessment officer and her peers. Since it was a collective assessment for all first-year students, she could not merely meet the lenient requirements set by Li Yuntao. She recalled the standardized assessment criteria, which included additional demands for jumping and turning. Suddenly, a vivid image flashed in her mind. A youthful girl, brimming with excitement, rushing towards her. The little girl, chest puffed out with pride, declared, "Professor Shun, I've invented a powerful move that allows me to pilot the mech with greater ease and enhanced explosive strength. I call it the Wu-style leap. And soon I'll be able to protect you. Would you like to learn the Wu-style leap? It will certainly help us defeat countless monstrous beasts." A smile crept across Shen Zhaoyan's lips as her body instinctively maneuvered the mech, executing the juvenile Wu-style leap. Upon witnessing the activation of the mech, the onlookers saw it take several swift steps. They were not particularly surprised by Shen Zhaoyan's accomplishment, considering she had been training with the mech for 2 months. Suddenly, the outdated mech leapt into action like a cheetah. The crowd gasped in astonishment. The once deemed inept Shen Zhaoyan had actually learned to execute jumps in the mech. They initially thought that would suffice. The initial Zero Mecha, upon landing, surged forth with extraordinary speed, akin to an arrow released from its bowstring. Utilizing this momentum, the long blade on its chest ejected, with the right hand poised and ready to grasp it. At that moment, another examiner, Bai Jingyao, abruptly rose from her seat, her mind conjuring the technique known as Wu-style leap. This technique, made famous by General Wu Xingfeng of the Alliance's 13th Legion, was a remarkable feat. Although Shen Zhaoyan merely demonstrated the rudimentary form of Wu-style leap, Bai Jingyao had a penchant for tracing the origins of various mecha piloting skills. She immediately recognized it as the primitive version of Wu-style leap she had seen in historical footage. However, she awaited the Zero Mecha to complete its subsequent hovering turns and a series of 4 consecutive jumps, only for the mecha to pivot and collapse onto one knee, becoming motionless. Chapter 4, Grading. Pass with distinction. Observing Shen Zhaoyan's initial Zero Mecha kneeling on the ground, the classmates in the training arena erupted in a chorus of jeers. A novice is indeed a novice. It turned around and fell again. Why had Shen Zhaoyan stopped moving? Had she fainted once more within the mecha? Nevertheless, she had managed to complete the assessment maneuver, alleviating her fears of expulsion. It was thanks to the benevolence of instructor Li Yuntao, who had lowered the difficulty of the assessment for her. Li Yuntao, with a stern expression, scrutinized the mecha before him, suspecting that Zhaoyan had indeed fainted inside. Impatiently, he called out, "Shen Zhaoyan, can you extricate yourself from the mecha?" Leaning against the back of the pilot's seat, Shen Zhaoyan gazed at the alert message on the secondary screen with exasperation. The third hydraulic buffer in her right leg had failed, rendering it inoperable and in need of repair. Simultaneously, the initial Zero Mecha emitted a rapid succession of alarms. A countdown warning echoed. Multiple malfunctions detected in the mecha, unable to operate. Please prepare to evacuate the cabin. The system is about to shut down. 5, 4, 3. Cursed be it. The Wu-style leap was only halfway completed before the mecha sustained damage. In haste, she opened the mecha's hatch while it still functioned. As expected, the moment the hatch swung open, all illumination within extinguished. Standing at the entrance of the mecha, Shen Zhaoyan let out a sigh. Raising her head, she locked eyes with the frowning Li Yuntao and calmly inquired, "Must I switch to another mecha for the assessment?" The evacuation alert had not gone unnoticed by those outside. After a moment of silence, Li Yuntao replied, "Very well, you've wasted enough time for everyone. You have indeed fulfilled the assessment requirements I previously outlined. This time, I shall grant you a passing grade, not with distinction." Bai Jingyao interjected, interrupting Li Yuntao. He turned to her in confusion. As the primary supervisor of this assessment, he had never encountered dissent from Bai Jingyao regarding the evaluations he assigned, despite the numerous students assessed that day. Bai Jingyao insisted, that was Wu-style leap, deserving of a superior rating. Had Shen Zhaoyan been a senior student, Bai Jingyao would not have contested Li Yuntao's assessment based on her mere execution of a half-formed Wu-style leap. Yet, Shen Zhaoyan was merely a novice, having studied mecha operation for just 2 months. How many freshmen could truly grasp the essence of Wu-style leap in such a brief period? With her remarkable insight and diligence, Shen Zhaoyan is indeed deserving of an excellent evaluation. Moreover, the failure of her Wu-style leap was merely due to a malfunction in the mech. Bai Jingyao has a fondness for intelligent individuals. Even though Shen Zhaoyan's physical abilities are currently the weakest among this year's freshmen, she still holds promise in Bai's eyes. She deserves the excellence rating. Her grip, leaps, and turns were all commendably executed. Another assessment officer, Zhu Rue, provided an objective analysis. Given that both examiners have spoken in favor,